Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Marilyn Kroplik. I'm a psychiatrist and I'm also president of In Defense of Animals. Welcome to our new online show, Vegan Cooking and Food Psychology, hosted by Chef Kathleen and myself. This show is presented by Carnivores Anonymous, a free 12-step program that I developed to support and provide strategies to help you maintain optimum health, weight loss, reverse chronic illness, and tackle food addiction while adopting a plant-based lifestyle. You can join this national program at www.carnivoresanonymous.com or actually .org. In this show, I'm going to talk about power. I know, isn't that an interesting topic? Because last time we talked about powerlessness. This time, we're going to multiply your power. That's right. In step 2, that's what it's about. It's about finding a higher power that will restore you to sanity. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a treat here tonight. I'm going to talk about the power of epigenetics in spinach. And we'll explain what epigenetics is a bit. Now I'd like to turn this show over to my co-host, Chef Kathleen, who will introduce today's featured recipe using spinach, another power-restoring us to sanity ingredient. Kathleen?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Marilyn. Today we're going to make, Today we're going to make a no-tuna salad by the Minimalist Baker that is featured on the Forks Over Knives website. And we're going to serve it on a bed of spinach, or you could also put it on your favorite bread with some spinach. So I'll be back in a minute to share the recipe with you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Well, here we are at step 2. And I don't know how you felt, but last week, admitting your powerlessness, it's kind of like it's not a very optimistic kind of topic. A lot of people have trouble with the sense that they have to admit that they are powerless. But it's almost like whatever you were doing before, it wasn't working. And you were powerless to make a change. And that's what that means. And this step officially is we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. The principles of this step there are 2 principles actually. One is confidence. It's confidence in ending your addictions to meat, dairy, and processed foods. The second principle is trust. You develop a trusting relationship with your higher power. Isn't that great? Well, let's go into a little bit deeper. We'll do a deeper dive into step 2. Step 2 is a really optimistic step. It's about hope, higher power, and dealing with reality. It follows step 1 very logically. In step 1, we admitted we're powerless over meat, dairy, and processed foods, and that our lives had become unmanageable. Now we move on. In step 2, we are asked in step 2 to turn to a higher power greater than ourselves, instead of depending on our own willpower or virtue to protect us from addictive behaviors. In other words, we're surrendering. Now, you might find that fear, anger, and a sense of hopelessness might arise because we're reflecting on our problems. That's powerlessness. We might just means that we have lost faith in willpower, our own individual willpower. The AA book, the big book, says we had to find a power by which we could live. And it's a power greater than ourselves. Step 2 is the solution. Step 2 is a process, and I recommend that you don't rush it. Don't think of it as an overnight fix. You're developing a trusting relationship with your higher power. After so many years of on and off again addictive cycling, eating meat, growing obese, developing chronic illness, some people, not only is your life unmanageable, it's a total insanity. Yeah, I'll explain that too. Step 2, fortunately, offers us an alternative source of power. There is hope to get out of this going nowhere cycle. We are asked to turn to a power greater than ourselves. Just imagine a life living, loving every day, no longer controlled by will and desire and temptations and craving. It's blossoming your self-confidence. It's helping you to manifest practical rewards with more ease in your everyday life. I'll take some of that. Now, how do we find this higher power? All you need is willingness. That's all. You begin embarking on this new path. There are no requirements, I promise you, to adopt a specific God or church or temple or even a religion. Thank goodness. We create our own personal higher power. For some people, it may be God. For others, it's their Carnivores Anonymous group. Friends who share, see, and listen to the stories from each other, building their confidence and courage to venture forth into plant-based living. Now, I know that some of you are probably skeptics, so I just want to address how to work with your skeptic self. Well, I believe healthy skepticism is always a positive. I recommend that you hold it very lightly and give the spiritual world a chance before it's dismissed. Atheists, agnostics, and egoists usually have more resistance towards the concept of a higher power. And one strategy I'm going to recommend you try is something that I've used a lot. It's becoming your own scientist. That's right. I want you to design a research study, including yourself and your higher power. Well, you first have to begin any scientific study with a hunch. Yes, all these very fancy scientific studies, really, they all begin with the same thing, a simple hunch. And my hunch would be, if I was a skeptic, which we all are skeptics, actually, and we are at different levels, I'm going to believe in a higher power. I want to see if a higher power helps my transition over to plant-based living. Or another hunch could be, I wonder if believing in a higher power will help strengthen my vegan practice. Now, another thing is old assumptions, past failures, negative thoughts, depression, all of that. Please let go of that. Thoughts of maybe I'm going to starve if I go vegan, all the way to, I go through withdrawal every time I eat meat, and I just can't be vegetable, plant-based, or I can't give them my junk vegan food. Clear away all these bias variables, at least until the completion of our experiment. Now, with both a hunch and a clearer mind, there's another step. I want you to act as if a higher power is already in your life. You don't have to believe, but act as if. And then start living your life, going to Carnivores Anonymous meetings, reading the big book, reading the literature that we're going to be producing soon, and track the changes in your attitude or mood, and also track your behavior. How many times a day do you have some craving? How many meetings did you go to? You can even take your blood pressure if you're working with hypertension. And how about fatigue? So many of us feel that when we're meat eaters. So I'd like you to try, measure your energy levels throughout the day. Now I want you to gather all this data and reflect on the data. See what it means to you. Was your hunch correct? Or was it not correct? And then state the experiment in a conclusion. Yes or no, I conclude my higher power belief has helped me to transition from meat to a plant-based lifestyle. There you go. It's a little trick that I use with myself sometimes. And I want you to also, when you're thinking of spirituality, take on only the amount of faith that you can handle. So little by little, we'll get there. Now, the second part is insanity. What do they mean by insanity? In step 2, we see that most meat eaters' life is really insane. Vegan junk food eaters is insane as well. Even sometimes sustainable vegans who are strict vegans can feel like their life is insane and they're craving for something else. We define sanity as doing the same thing over and over again, yet expecting different results. One thing is you're eating meat, let's say. You're craving meat or processed foods. You're gaining weight. You're back to dieting. Then you're back to craving. On and on, again and again. That is insanity, isn't it? We continue to act insane because that's what addicted people do. We prefer, addicted people, at times, fantasy rather than reality. Such as we continue to eat animal products and vegan junk food, even though we are experiencing very negative side effects. In step 2, we are provided a guide out of our fantasy wretched lives so we can enter a renewed reality. Little by little, step by step, we will break through denial together and progress to a life of greater courage and spiritual honesty. Okay, but it can't be done alone. No. And just buying something is not going to do it either. You know, a new romance, a fancy house, a brand new car, forget it. It will not restore you to sanity. Only thing that does, I believe, is aligning with your higher power. Then we are restored to sanity. And it's a process. Don't feel you have to rush it. As we started our 12-step journey, do you remember feeling, I know it all, my way is the best way, I don't need this? But then, later on, when we align to our higher power, we're going to Carnivores Anonymous meetings, talking to fellow recovering carnivores. We're working with a sponsor and telling them what we're eating every day. We also might repeat to ourselves different kinds of fun slogans like easy does it, keep it simple, stupid, one day at a time. That's my favorite, one day at a time. We are then becoming what I call teachable. You're more open. In our vulnerability, in sharing with each other, faith takes the place of fear. In listening to other stories, we come to believe. We come to realize that our fear is rooted in false pride and isolation. And it's hampered us throughout our lives. It's hampered our ability to believe in our higher power and to believe in ourselves. With this understanding, belief and confidence grows. Whoa, that's the bottom line in step 2. It's a wonderful message. Now is my surprise little tidbit for you. Shall we call it it's sort of well, it's not an appetizer because that was the main course, but it's like a small little, just something to give you something to chew on. And I want to talk about the power of epigenetics. Yay! This is new medical information that's going to revolutionize, is already revolutionizing medicine. That's right. You know, since the early 1950s, ever since Watson Crick discovered DNA, and they created the central dogma, which was DNA is your destiny. DNA was considered all-powerful. I know when I went to medical school, that's what they told me, and I believed it. But not anymore. I was shocked. And a lot of physicians don't even know this yet. You are no longer the victim of your genes. What a message. You mean my father who had heart problems, I don't have to believe in the central dogma? I won't have to suffer from heart problems as well? Whoa, this is big stuff. If there's cancer in my family, screw the central dogma, because it's not true. I won't inherit necessarily the cancer gene, and I can just not think I'm going to get cancer. That's right. These are old beliefs, that central dogma, old medical theories. And it's great. You live to a certain age and you hear it all, that were worshipped for too long a time. Now the profession of medicine has seen the light. Whew. And I'm here to introduce to you the beauty of epigenetics throughout our 12-month series. You determine your own destiny, and you are no longer trapped by the genes you inherit. Great. The only problem is, how about bad habits and lifestyle, the bad lifestyle choices we've made? Bad diet, no exercise, rush, no meditation, no yoga. These bad choices result in chronic illness. And so your lifestyle choices matter more than ever. And we have the science to prove it. It's on our side. It backs up our new understanding that's revolutionizing medicine, opening up so many new treatments, cancer treatments even, and a new respect for plant-based eating based on the new science of epigenetics. Take spinach, for example. By the way, tonight, Chef Kathleen will be cooking up some wonderful dish that uses spinach. She's making a special, well, I won't tell you. I'll let her surprise you with what she's making, but it contains spinach. And spinach leaves are very rich in a chemical compound called betaine. In nature, betaine, or betaine, whichever way you wish, can behave as a methyl donor. And I'll explain that a little further later on. And betaine in nature helps plants deal with environmental stressors such as low water, high salinity, that means high salt, or extreme temperatures. In your body, betaine, as I said, it works as a methyl donor and is part of a chain of chemical events that leaves a mark, a little mark on your genetic code. In Sharon Mullen's book, and the title of that is Inheritance: How Our Genes Change Our Lives, and How Our Lives Change Our Genes. What? I never heard that before. I can change my genes? Well, Dr. Mullen referenced research done at Oregon State University, where they found that many people who eat spinach epigenetically changed how, and they epigenetically changed their genes and helped influence how their cells fought back against genetic mutations caused by a carcinogen, which means cancer-causing, in cooked meat. Yeah, that's so stunning. In fact, the study showed that colon tumors were reduced by 50%. Now, with that amazing news, Kathleen, please show us how you cook with spinach and tell us about your new recipe, please. Take it away.
All right. Thanks, Marilyn. That was one of my favorite subjects, faith over fear. And I can attest that my higher power helped me go vegan 15 years ago, and it was actually very easy. So I hope it will be for others. So we're going to make a no-tuna salad, again, designed and created by the Minimalist Baker, featured on the Forks Over Knives website. So I really love this recipe because it's super easy. It's an easy lunch to transport. You can take it to work with you, and it's delicious. So we're going to start with a can of your favorite chickpeas, and I just really love this Simple Truth Organic Kroger brand. It's only 99 cents, and it's organic. So the first thing you want to do is rinse your beans very well, and then I'm going to have my husband Wade zoom in here. You can mash them with a potato masher, and if that's too official, like when I wasn't cooking, I definitely didn't own a potato masher. You can use the back of the fork. But I do love my potato masher now and highly recommend it because it makes it much easier. So I did a little pre-mashing. It's a bit of an arm workout, but the more you mash it, I think the better it tastes. So you want to mash that. This is just one can, and you can double it if you want it to last longer, which is actually what I normally do. And then we're going to add in a few of our condiments. So this chickpea recipe uses tahini. And tahini is made from sesame seeds, and sesame seeds are high in omega-6s, and they're very good for you. So if you don't have tahini, or if you're a little sensitive to tahini, like I am, you can use vegan mayonnaise instead. But if you can do tahini, I highly recommend it. And again, this Simple Truth Organic, not only is it delicious, it's a little bit more affordable than buying tahini at the health food store. But unfortunately, tahini sometimes makes me sneeze, so I am going to use some vegan mayonnaise, so that's up to you. My husband actually loves vegan mayonnaise, so we're going to start that. And we're going to do 2 to 3 tablespoons. It's up to you. We'll start on the lighter side here with 2. Get all that off. And then the next 2 ingredients, I think, really make it. We're going to add in a teaspoon of Grey Poupon, our Dijon mustard, so that gives it that nice flavor. And then we get a little sweet. We get in a tablespoon of maple syrup, and we buy this at Kirkland, and it's also a little more affordable. So we're going to add in a tablespoon of that. So those three ingredients are basically like the sauce. So the chickpeas are very high in fiber, and they're high in plant protein. So just one can of chickpeas has 20 grams of fiber. So, you know, people are always asking, where do vegans get their protein? Well, we get our protein from the same place. Elephants get protein from plants. We just got back from Thailand, and they're about the strongest animals on the planet. So it's fun to think that they are vegan. All right, then I'm going to add in some diced red onions, and just 1/4 of a cup. You could use green onions if you aren't a fan of red onions. And then celery, which I love celery because it gives it not only the fiber and crunch, I also just love the color. So we're going to dice up some celery here. It says just 1/4 of a cup, but I'm adding a little extra. I'm doing 2 stalks. And so that's just up to you if you're a celery fan or not. And then we'll add that, and we're actually almost done. That's how easy and simple this recipe is. So I'm grateful to the Minimalist Baker for sharing it with Forks Over Knives. So we'll add in the celery. And then you can do 1/4 of a cup diced pickles. If you like dill, I love sweet. I love this organic sweet pickle relish from Trader Joe's, so there's no corn syrup. And I like to do a couple tablespoons or 2. So we've got the sweet of the pickles and the sweet of the maple syrup. Then if you want, you can add a little dash of sea salt, and we will mix it together. So that's it, and it's delicious. And this will make 2 servings, 2 big servings. And again, I think it's actually easier if you just want to double the whole thing. If there's 2 of you, then you could have it for lunch for 2 days. Wade and I like to eat a lot, so this will only be this will only be 1 lunch worth. And then I'm going to show you what you can do with it when you're done. So this is the spinach that Marilyn's talking about, and I like to put mine on a bed of spinach and take it to work with me, because again, it's easy to transport, and you could bring some crackers with it. If you're at home, you could make a piece of avocado toast and put a little nutritional yeast on that. That's one of my favorite meals. Adding that avocado toast with any kind of salad. And then, so that's one option. Put it on a bed of spinach. And then if you prefer the traditional, a regular tuna fish sandwich would usually be on bread. This is for Wade. He's a bread fan. You do gluten-free or regular. This is Ezekiel bread. We'll add a little more spinach here. And then you could add in your salad. And you could put even an extra layer of spinach if you want to get more spinach. So getting those greens into your diet. And it normally doesn't take as much of the salad. You can also add, she suggests, some sunflower seeds, which are also high in omega-6s. And that will give it a little bit of crunch as well. And you could add that to the bowl or just to individual. And then voila. So we have our delicious chickpea salad, no tuna salad sandwich. So it's wonderful because no fish were killed, right?
Yay!
No fish have feelings too, says Moby. And it's all from chickpeas. So it's delicious and nutritious and full of protein and full of that awesome spinach you talk about, Marilyn.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Chef Kathleen. That's just yummy. I want to tell you that sandwich, because it has spinach in it, is filled with methyl molecules. And those are epigenetic miracles. They're anti-cancer. Yes, methylation is very important in epigenetics and in cancer treatment. That's because spinach has plentiful methyl groups, that's CH3, 3 carbons and a hydrogen, and it turns off or silences the cancer promoter gene. Get that? So you have a gene that's a promoting cancer, that promotes, that can promote mutations, and it silences that. It's a protection that our body has. And I've been reading about also sesame seeds and omega-6s, and my goodness, that is a really healthy, healthy way to go. It's a healthy, healthy fat. It is, however, has a little bit more fat in it, but it's a healthy fat. But it has some very good essential amino acids as well. Linoleic acid, oleic acid, lysine, tryptophan, methionine. It's a great protein food. And it also has vitamin Bs, which is great because vitamin B is where you get a lot of that methyl donors from that are in spinach also. And along with that, you have minerals. You have magnesium, copper, phosphorus, manganese, iron, and zinc, and probably some more. It's really great also for regulating your blood pressure and cholesterol. And it's really also, it's good for atherosclerosis, that blocking of the heart arteries that happens when you're not a vegan. And it helps balance out your hormones, too, for menopausal women because it's filled with phytoestrogens and estrogen-building foods. So, let's see. One other thing is skin. It helps improve your skin. It produces collagen that gives your skin a young and firm and elastic texture. Oh, am I done yet? No, I'm not done yet. It boosts nutrition absorption. Gosh, this is like a miracle food. So, tahini, sesame seeds, spinach, you can't go wrong with that. They are like wonder nutrients, and it should be everybody's weekly ingredient that we consume. So thank you, Kathleen, for showing us how to make this marvelous food. What a great idea. We're going to make it. And I want everybody to go out there and have a no-tuna salad spinach sandwich this week. I have another homework assignment for you. You know I like homework. I'd like you to keep a little journal on step 2. That's right. Remember I told you about that experiment? If you're a little bit skeptical, even if you're not skeptical, friends, group, family, something else. Sometimes we just can't depend upon ourselves to pull us through rough times. Well, anyway, I'd like you to be an experiment and do your scientific experiment on yourself this week. So, write down your hunch, what you're going to try to prove, and then I want you to make a chart. There are 2 titles. One is going to be attitude, and then you'll have mood state, your mood. I'll keep it simple for you. There's a lot of fancy ways to do this, but I'll keep it simple. The other chart is behavior, and that depends on what you're trying to change. But for a lot of us, it's cravings, it's maybe going to meetings, it's maybe doing your second step work, maybe it's going on to Amazon and getting one of the 12-step books, going to a Carnivores Anonymous meeting, calling your sponsor. or taking your blood pressure. If you're regulating your blood pressure, trying to get it down lower, or if you're tracking your fatigue. So that's really going to be wonderful for you. I want you to be a scientist. Don't feel burdened by it, though, okay? Don't get obsessed. If you skip a day or something, remember, in Carnivores Anonymous, the one thing that can work against us is when we judge ourselves. So please join us for our next show in March 15th at the same time, or you can watch for a replay later. Okay, well, have a wonderful, fabulous month, and we'll see you next month in March. Bye, Kathleen. Bye, everybody. Don't forget your homework.